bim bam boom, la mulatona Merced, arrollando bate tras de la comparsa. Ya no quieren cumbanchar las negritas del solar, si no tocan al compás de ese ritmo así. Suénalo, bailalo, gózalo. Bim bam bum, que saborosito está este paso arrollador de la comparsa.
Road. It's just a speeding thing, and a guy has to give me a body cavity search. I don't understand.
Maybe he was gay. There are gay cops. You know that Village People guy.
Guys. We're on.
Ooh. Oh, how embarrassing.
Hello, Albuquerque, and welcome to our show on this very wet and wonderful Thursday night. Our show is entitled
Anything Goes!
And this show is about what, Mike?
The legal
The
system.
legal system. That's right.
Sure beats that green woman, or the woman in the green
Oh,
coat.
yeah, she was
The show
scary.
before this, did you see it?
Did you see it?
Freak.
She was wearing this bright green jacket, and she
God,
was
it was-
glowing. She was the alien
Yeah.
from Roswell.
Spouting religious junk.
Ooh, thunder.
Okay, now,
Okay.
the legal system. You may have noticed driving around this lovely city of enchantment, some cherry pickers over the freeway, I-25, I-40, and several people being pulled over for speeding.
Of all things.
Because it's
True criminals, these people.
Yes. And this is happening because the cops needed, A, justify their raise, B, make more money for the state, and C, it's the only thing cops can actually catch people doing that's a crime.
Right. That, and we're going to have some other stuff on the show. We're going to have a fabulous guest star. Mr. T's decided to come back.
That's right.
That's going to be great.
He'll be singing Judas Priest's Breaking the Law.
Yeah.
We'll also be discussing frivolous lawsuits on the show. You remember that lady who spilled coffee you know where? Well, that's nothing compared to what we've got for you on our
Right.
show tonight.
Plus dumb laws. We've got a few dumb laws we looked up.
Pretty much all of them,
Yeah.
but we got some really funny ones.
We're going to have those. We'd like to tell you also that it's okay to masturbate and watch our show.
Yeah, if you're really turned on by Mike and I, it's okay. We're not judging you.
Right.
Anyway, let's start
So,
with
right.
trumped-up lawsuits.
Trumped-up lawsuits. The first story. Here we go. In October of 1989, Lonnie and Karen Boozer of Idaho Falls came to Disneyland with their 5-year-old daughter, Lindsay, and their 2-year-old daughter, Melissa. While the Boozers were being detained for questioning about a probable shoplifting incident, Lindsay supposedly glimpsed costumed cast members walking around backstage with their costume heads under their arms.
Headless.
Their $1 million lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company claimed that Lindsay Boozer was shocked to see her favorite characters without their heads. The Boozers alleged that Lindsay became depressed and withdrawn after the experience at Disneyland and spent 3 months in therapy as a result. The lawsuit was reportedly settled out of court for an undisclosed amount.
You know, Disney messes with my head, too. I mean, think about it. Goofy is a dog, and Pluto is a dog, but Goofy can talk, and Pluto can't. And Mickey is a mouse, and Donald is a duck, but they're the same size. They're the same size. Don't you see? Disney's traumatizing us all. Oh, okay. Thanks, Mike.
Sure, no problem, sorry. Next story, here we go. Andrew Daniels filed a $500,000 lawsuit against M&M Mars Company and a Cleveland, Ohio retailer because of one of the M&M's peanuts that he bit down on. He bit down too hard because it had no peanut in it, and he bit through his lip. How can you bite through your lip trying to chomp on an M&M? I don't understand that.
He's got a weird chewing style.
Anyway, it required hospitalization and various surgery bills. One claim against the retailer is under the legal theory of failure to inspect the candy.
I'll be suing M&M Mars myself because I found out that it does eventually melt in your hands. At the trial in his racial harassment lawsuit against Pitney Bowes in Los Angeles in September, black salesman Akinatude Ogunle
You knew you'd mess that up.
testified that he had been addressed by one coworker as Akinatude Uga Booga Jungle Jungle. The coworker, who was of French-Canadian ancestry, later testified that he misunderstood, that what he was saying was bonjour, bonjour. The jury awarded Akinatude $11.1 million.
Wow.
$11.1 million.
Imagine if some Def Comedy Jam comedian called me Whitey or Peckerwood or Cracker. Can I sue for that? I'm traumatized by that.
That's right. This is important to remember. Just because we're white doesn't mean we don't have feelings.
That's true. Right. Next story. In November, Tom Pack won a $45,000 settlement from Los Angeles County. He'd soiled himself after a property tax office clerks made him wait at a desk without a restroom break
Right.
presumably in retaliation for his having arrived 15 minutes before closing to make payments on more than 200 properties. Poor guy. Imagine a grown man having to admit to 12 of his peers in a courtroom that he pooped in his pants.
Well, actually, it turned out okay because the lawyers made a good judgment when picking a jury. They picked 12 elderly and incontinent people who were certain to sympathize. Back to you, Mike.
Oh, I'm lost. What happened? I did that again.
Dale
Sorry,
Larson,
here
before
we
the
go.
Christie Canyon picture
Okay.
that stuck in your script.
He put a dirty picture in my script. Dale L. Larson won $41,000 from a Wisconsin appeals court in October, which determined that an Indian Head golf course in Wausau was 51% responsible for Larson's needing 9 root canals and 23 dental crowns.
Oh.
Larson tripped on his golf spikes and fell hard on his face on a brick path outside the clubhouse. He argued that he wouldn't have fallen if it had been a smooth concrete sidewalk rather than a brick path. The trial court had found only 49% of the accident was due to Larson's having consumed 13 drinks that evening, which left him
man.
with a blood alcohol level of 0.28 90 minutes after the fall.
After the fall, that
This
tooth
guy
was-
broke almost all the teeth in his mouth.
That toothless bastard! Thank God he didn't hit anyone driving home.
No kidding. There's another lawsuit.
He might have had to sue them for being in the way of his vehicle. In July, Alex Alzolduel filed a $25,000 lawsuit against Dennis Hickey in Raymondville, Texas, alleging injuries caused by his suddenly and without warning having tripped over Hickey's dog in the kitchen of Hickey's home. According to the lawsuit, Hickey should have warned Alzoldua that he was walking around in the kitchen at his own risk, and that Hickey had failed to warn Alzoldua of the dog's propensity of lying in certain areas around the house. It means that basically soon you're going to have a release form for everything. And as a matter of fact, my friend here, Mike, has just such a release form. Mike?
Right. I have a release form after the dirty picture that Mike stuck into my script. Can't show it to you as much as I'd like to.
The release form.
The release form. Yay! I, the party of the first part, Michael A. Usner, do hereby disavow any and all responsibility for anything I say, think, feel, or do. Any negative responses developed by any other parties than myself, including the party of the second part, you, with regard to my thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds, are strictly not my responsibility. And all attempts by the party of the second part, you, or any other parties apart from myself, to place blame and or judgment on me for my thoughts, feelings, words, or deeds are hereby rendered null and void. Any attempt to prosecute me in any court of law or punish me by any standard on the basis of my thoughts, feelings, words, and deeds is also rendered null and void by the terms of this agreement. I, the party of the second part, that would be you, do hereby absolve the party of the first part, that would be me, Michael Usner, of any and all incidents which might be perceived by myself and others as wrongdoing, on the basis of the fact that he is not responsible, that's me, for anything that I do. By signing this document, I give my assent to everything outlined in this release form. I thought that would be a good idea for basically any situation you might run into that you don't want to
But
be
absolutely.
liable for.
If you don't want to take responsibility for any of your actions, you can email us at anythinggoes@geocities.com, and we'll get this to you.
Right.
So, Mike, what would be the most frivolous of all possible lawsuits?
We were thinking about this. We were thinking, what could be the most ridiculous lawsuit that you'd ever try to bring up? And we came up with basically the people versus God.
In a lawsuit, suing him for, well, everything.
Yeah, pretty much everything. I mean, you can sue God for a lot of stuff.
So we have a video for you, and what we'd like to present to you now is a puppet show.
The people versus God.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you, you?
Yes, I do.
God, is it true that you created the known universe?
Yes. 6 days. I'd like to see you puny mortals try that.
We're so impressed. Color me 13 shades of it. In creating the universe, did you also create, let's say, sunset?
Sunset, yes. Not just on Earth. Rigel 12 has 3 suns and 2 moons and a purple sky.
Oh, I'm sure it's lovely. And did you also, let's say, create something like, the rose?
The rose, yes. I hear it's very popular with lovers.
It sure is. Funny thing about the rose, it also has thorns. Did you create those as well?
I don't know what you're getting at.
Let me explain for you, God. See, the rose has thorns, and people prick their fingers on the rose, draw blood, and experience pain. Therefore, by creating thorns, you created pain.
Well, I created everything but that. Lucifer is responsible for pain.
Oh, I see. A scapegoat. Now that's convenient. One quick question then, God. Who created Lucifer?
This is ridiculous. I don't understand this.
Your Honor, I'd like to treat God as a hostile witness, please.
Yes, you may. Mr. God, please answer the question.
Yes, sir.
Could you say it loud enough so the jury can hear you, God?
Yes, I created Lucifer. I can do anything I want. I'm God. I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Mr. Juror, have you reached a verdict?
Yes, we have, Your Honor. We, the jury, have determined that God is not only responsible for all the pain, misery, and suffering of the human race, but all living creatures throughout the confines of the universe, whatever those confines may be. And we decree that God must live in eternal servitude, punishment-free of all living creatures.
What are you talking about? This is ridiculous. You puny mortals. I can fudge you all again. Don't think that I won't. I'm not even looking at human beings here. Nobody has a lot of white Sodom and
God became very angry with the human race.
You puny mortals, this'll teach you to meddle in my affairs. Here, take that.
Now here you creeps, punks and freaks. I'm talking about virus from the streets. Spread that virus, go for hell. Check out the resistance of your cell. Smoke some dope, waste your brain, kick your health out of the drain. Fuel injection, make you hot. Ram it up.
There's the Earth, a large conflagration, the death of the entire human race.
Pretty much now we know what's going to happen if we try to raise a class action suit against God.
I'll tell you, God is somebody I would not want to piss off,
The
even
Almighty's
though I'm
not
sure I have plenty of times.
The Almighty's not going to stand for our nonsense.
That's right. We now turn our attention to weird sounds. Actually, we actually now turn our attentions to
more weird sounds.
Nope,
they're done.
Okay, what we would call the impotence of cops.
Impotence.
Impotence.
Yeah, I just wanted to say impotence one more time.
Impotence.
On TV.
Can't get it up. Anyway, each of us has had an experience with cops.
Right. You probably have too. All of us have a story. At least if we don't have a story, then we know someone that has a story of something bad that happened to them, and the evidence was clear. If these people wanted to, they could have taken care of the case themselves, and the police did absolutely nothing to help.
Right. Now,
They're too busy busting speeders.
As we've said, they're busting speeders because they can. But here's, in our small circle of friends here, each of us has a story not only dealing with a crime, but a serious felony. To begin with, I'll tell the story of my girlfriend, Tiffany. A coworker stole her purse, and in her purse, her ID and several of her checks. Then she used the fake ID, not even looking a thing like her, and cashed those checks in an amount exceeding $800 at Albertsons. We know who she is. They have her on videotape. Albertsons knows she did it. We all know who did it. We told the cops. It's been over a year now. She hasn't been arrested. That's the effective nature of the cops. And Mike, you have a story.
She hasn't even been contacted, has she?
Not even a contact.
Right. Well, I've got my own story to tell about getting on about a year ago.
Before you continue,
yes?
The lawyer says it was allegedly Albertsons.
All right, allegedly.
Stinking lawyers.
Damn them.
Always meddling in our
Except the
affairs.
one we like, our friend Ron.
Oh, yeah. He's
like
an
him.
okay lawyer. Anyway, back to my story. Last December, I had lost my money card, so I've been writing a lot of checks, and I wrote a check at a local store, AutoZone. I wasn't going to name them, but I figured I should.
Allegedly, AutoZone.
Right. Accidentally left my ID there. Forgot about it. No big deal. I thought I lost it. I went and got another one. Well, turns out someone decided to borrow my ID from AutoZone and use it to cash some checks that they had stolen.
No way.
Along with some jewelry and some other stuff from these people's house. So, of course, the checks were reported stolen, and the person fled from the bank. But the cops, for some reason, thought it was me because the bank teller didn't bother to match the description with the ID. She said, oh, it was the guy on the ID. So basically, the cops think I'm the one that did this. I had to go down and answer all these questions. They have the person on videotape. They have the license number of the car that was used to get away at the scene of the crime. and they still have not solved the crime.
You yourself have proof that you couldn't possibly have been there because you have to cart into work each day.
Right, yeah, so that's no problem. I didn't do it, promise. But what else was I going to say? Oh, the insurance company, they want money from me now. They want me to pay for the jewelry that was stolen out of these people's house. That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. I have my own personal story. When my Jeep was stolen not too long ago, you may remember on our last show that we talked about that, I got a phone call the next morning at 7 a.m. saying the car had been found. I was given a number to call. I called that number. They said it wasn't the right number and gave me another number to call, which I called, and they said it wasn't the right number. And this went on for all day until about 4 o'clock. I ultimately ended up calling tow yards to find my car, and a week later, the cops finally called me to say, "Did you get your car?"
Aw, good for them.
Sweet.
That's pretty helpful.
We also have, as our technical coordinator, Kent.
Technical director.
Director, yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Dr. Kent.
Dr. Kent, tell us about your story.
Okay, who should I put the camera on first?
Just leave it where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, my story involves a guy named Elvis, not the one you're thinking of.
Hooah.
He was shot. He told us who shot him. We got him on videotape saying who shot him.
Can I just mention for a second, we were going to show the video tonight, but technical difficulties.
And it's a little bloody.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Well, we have him on videotape saying who did it. He obviously got a clear view, seeing as he was facing the barrel of the gun. We gave the videotape to the police of him saying who did it. The police said that they were going to go arrest these guys, but they didn't. And a few short months later, the same guys went and shot someone in northern New Mexico, in Farmington, and killed them.
Wow.
So had the cops done something,
They could have saved a life.
Right. Someone wouldn't be dead right now.
That would require the cops caring.
Well,
I should say that this is a police force in northern New Mexico that's one of the more lawless parts of the state, I think. So
that's true.
Maybe they prefer to stand off rather than get themselves.
Besides, old Barney only has one bullet, and he doesn't have to use it on these people.
Barney, that's funny.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Dr.
Ken. Thanks.
Okay, now that we've thoroughly bashed the cops,
I know. I'll be looking in my rearview mirror for quite a while now.
I'm not going to want to get pulled over. I'll be driving very carefully, I can tell you that. Michael and I have here a list of laws that are still on the books. These are rather silly laws. You'll laugh about them at home. Laugh until you cry because they are real laws. And they are just laws in California. Okay?
Right.
So
the portion of this show is entitled, "I Can't Believe It's Still on the Books." These are laws that just are totally ridiculous that we found, and we thought we'd share with you at home because you're all so bored.
Right. Ready. Drivers in Hemet, California should be aware that the driver of any vehicle involved in an accident resulting in death shall immediately stop and give his name and address to the person struck.
Well, yeah, it eliminates hit and run. I mean, it makes sense. Just put a little note on the body. Just pin it
Pin
on
it
there,
on the body.
like a little kid in kindergarten.
I was run over.
Next story, in Riverside, California, an old piece of legislation stops local citizens from sticking out a tongue in the direction of a dog. Maybe they thought it was dirty or something.
Well, in Ventura, California, it's illegal to make ugly faces at dogs who are found to be freely roaming in the community. Apparently, they really like their dogs there in California.
Well, what is that? Upland?
Upland.
In Upland, and I quote, "It shall be unlawful for the owner or keeper of horses, mules, cattle, sheep, goats, and hogs to run at large." That means the owner can't run at large.
That's right. That's the way the law's
not
written.
the animals.
Right. So that's pretty unfair. The animals can just go where they please. According to the municipal code in Inglewood, California, it is unlawful for any male person within corporate limits of the city of Inglewood to wink at any female person with whom he is unacquainted. So if we were in California and you're a woman watching my show, I'd be breaking the law right now.
It seems as if the legal system had its way. We'd never flirt with women, we'd never meet women, we'd never marry women, and never have children. But the system wants us to have children.
Well, certainly in many states around the Union, we can't sodomize or have oral sex either. So they're trying to limit us. It's our freedom.
Some laws are fun to break. In Apple Valley, California, ducks aren't allowed to be heard quacking after 10 o'clock p.m.
Okay. Community lawmakers in Baldwin Park once decreed that no female shall appear in a bathing suit on the street within this community unless she is escorted by at least 2 officers or unless she is armed with a club. Now, an interesting add-on to this, an amendment to the original ordinance reads, "The provisions of this status shall not apply to females weighing less than 90 pounds or exceeding 200 pounds, nor shall it apply to female horses."
Okay. Well, an early speed law in L.A. County was worded, speed upon county roads will be limited to 10 miles an hour unless the motorist sees a bailiff who does not appear to have had a drink in 30 days. Then the driver will be permitted to make what he can.
Males in Buena Park, California have an anti-flirting law. No male person shall make remarks to or concerning or cough or whistle at or do any other act to attract the attention of any women upon traveling upon any of the sidewalks.
Yeah. Whoever operates an automobile on any public way laid out under the authority of law recklessly or while under the influence of liquor shall be punished, thereby imposing upon the motorist the duty of finding out at his peril whether certain highways have been laid out recklessly or while under the influence of liquor before driving his car over them.
This is one of my personal favorites. Males in Buena Park, California are specifically prohibited from turning and looking at women in that way on the Sabbath. If he's caught a second time, the violator has to wear horse blinders for a period of 24 hours.
That's better than being put in the shackle thing.
What is that way?
That way.
Officer, he looked at me in that way.
What way are you talking about?
Well, Whittier, California. Hey, I was born in Whittier. This is funny. Whittier, California law states that two vehicles which are passing each other in opposite directions shall have the right of way.
Ironically, we have more car accidents in New Mexico.
Do we?
I think so.
Probably just more fools behind the wheel.
Hesperia, California outlaws dueling under certain circumstances. No one is allowed to duel if they're using water pistols.
Well, that makes perfect sense to me.
There's no blood.
Well, yeah.
How entertaining can that be?
Well, they could use super soakers.
Maybe an amendment to the law might legalize that, too.
How the heck do you pronounce that?
Monrovia, named after Monroe, one of our presidents. Remember our Whose America Is It in Any Way show last week?
Yeah. In Monrovia, California, no young man shall marry the girl of his dreams until he has proven his manhood. To accomplish this, he is required to go out and shoot 6 blackbirds or 3 crows, which must then be brought to his prospective father-in-law.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here, Mike.
Yeah, that's fine.
A married man in Camarillo can't purchase any form of liquor without first having the written consent of his loving wife. The reason he has to drink in the first place.
Right. Well, in Costa Mesa, citizens aren't allowed to enter a movie theater within 4 hours of having eaten garlic.
In Temecula, California, playing cards with a pregnant woman or a child on the curb of any street is prohibited. How old are you? Are you pregnant? Okay, you're in.
In El Monte, California, the law prohibits a horse from falling asleep in a bathtub unless the rider is also sleeping with the horse. Do they mean sleeping with the horse or sleeping with the horse?
Sleeping with the enemy. Barbers in Valencia are prohibited from eating onions between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, but what can you eat for lunch if you're a barber? That's a long time to go without onions, and I like onions. I'm glad I'm not a barber.
Kent doesn't like onions. Do you, Kent?
No way, man.
In Pico Riviera, a woman attired in shorts weighing over 200 pounds will be breaking the law if she rides her horse in public. That's understandable, I suppose.
In Rosemead, it's against the law to eat ice cream with a fork.
In Santa Ana, it's illegal to let a horse sleep in a bakery. We got a lot of horse ones, don't we?
Yeah.
It's this obsession with the horse.
I guess these were the Catherine the Great laws from the 1950s.
Yeah. Replaced by cars, so maybe these could be car laws now. You can't let your car sleep in a bakery.
Yes. Speaking of drinking, by the way, a law in Bellflower actually offers a degree of protection to drunks. A drunken man has as good a right to a perfect sidewalk as a sober man, since he needs one a good deal more.
In Arcadia, California,
where the fairies live,
an old ordinance prohibits young women from drinking coffee after 6 p.m.
You know, when you think of Arcadia, the mythical dwelling place of fairies, you'd think that that would be the popular place, not San Francisco. Oh, my bad.
Oh.
And since we've done a lot of cop bashing, I would like to end on a couple of good notes with some cops, some innovative cops stories in the news. In November, police in Independence Township, Michigan, arrested a 45-year-old man and charged him with peeping into windows at the Clarkston Motor Inn, basing the arrest on the ear prints he allegedly left on the windows. Now, that's thinking.
Ear prints?
Ear prints.
That's much more revealing than fingerprints.
Or the penis prints that were at the bottom. Little puddles at the...
Well, I guess we don't have much time left. We should probably thank you for tuning into our show.
Definitely.
I'd like to remind you that our show is on every Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. We'd like to thank our crew. They did a lot of good things for us tonight. They rubbed our backs and made us feel all warm before we came on the air.
Yeah.
What else? If you want to email us, you can email us at geocities. Anything
goes
goes at geocities.com. Also, what else do we have to say?
Well, tonight, when you're looking at your face in the mirror, I want you to remember, no matter how many people are in the room, you're still alone. Thank you.
Well, we're about out of time, so thanks for joining us, and tune in next week.
Have fun now. Drink one.
If you'd like to be a member of our studios, tickets are $2,500,000. If you'd like an Anything Goes t-shirt, they're even more. If you'd like to be a guest on Anything Goes, or you'd like to join the Mike and Mike fan club, or even go on a date with Mike and Mike or Mike, email your request to us at anythinggoes@geocities.com. All proceeds go to the Mike and Mike Foundation, helping Mikes get beer.
Spent a combined total of $60.6 billion on law enforcement. Federal law enforcement expenditures ranked last in absolute dollars and accounted for only 6% of all federal spending.